Hello, I'm Kathy Morris, pastor of the Dixon United Methodist Church. Welcome to our daily devotion for April the 9th. Today is Holy Thursday. This is one of the most sacred days of the whole of the Christian year. It is the day on which we remember Jesus' last meal with his disciples on the night that he was arrested. It is the basis for our sacrament of Holy Communion. We sometimes refer to the sacrament of Holy Communion as the Lord's Supper. Let us hear now the words that we find in the Gospel of Matthew that tell the story of that Last Supper that Jesus celebrated with his disciples. Listen now as I read to us from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 26, verses 17 through 30. On the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" He said, "Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, 'The teacher says, my time is near. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples.'" So the disciples did as Jesus directed them, and they prepared the Passover meal. When it was evening, he took his place with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." And they became greatly distressed and began to ask him one after another, "Surely not I, Lord?" He answered, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him, but woe to the one by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that one not to have been born." Judas, who betrayed him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi." He replied, "You have said so." While they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it and gave it to his disciples and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup, and after having given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from this, all of you. For this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will never drink again of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." When they had sung the hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we're not able to celebrate Holy Communion as we normally would, and this is a great sadness for many of us. In the United Methodist tradition, we believe that it is something that ordained clergy, those who are licensed pastors, they are the ones who need to consecrate the elements in order for us to truly celebrate the sacrament. But there is another holy meal that all Christians are able to celebrate. It is called the Love Feast. The Love Feast is a special meal that Christians would gather around, and it was a way of remembering all of the meals that Jesus shared with his disciples. It is an expression of the community that we have with all who are followers of Christ. At the Love Feast, it was a time to share testimonies about all that God was doing in their lives. John Wesley, who was the founder of the Methodist revival in the 18th century, he first came into contact with the Love Feast as he worshiped with a group of Moravian brethren in Savannah, Georgia. This practice of the Love Feast then became a part of the life of Methodists. It is meant to be a simple meal, and it really isn't the meal or the ceremony that's important, What is important is how we share with one another the stories of God's grace that are around us everywhere. I'm encouraging all of us this Holy Thursday to share in a love feast with one another. For those of us who have family and perhaps some others who are sheltering at home with us, then just as you're gathering for your evening meal, set it as a time for a love feast and to share with one another stories about what God is doing in your life. For those of you who are on your own, I encourage you to call a friend, maybe even have a Zoom video conference, and set a time when the two of you can be in your own homes, have your favorite drink, a snack, and then share with each other how you are experiencing God's grace, particularly during this time. We will all be very much happier when we can once again gather in our sanctuary and to share in the sacrament together. But for now, I pray that we will feel that loving, warm presence of Christ in our midst as we share these times of fellowship with each other. May we give thanks for the expressions of God's grace that are all around us, and look forward to that day when we can say the words that we find in Psalm 34. "O taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy are those who take refuge in him."